Brian Triple G, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is there a need for HD remasters? No, say the early adopters. I brought the game once already. No, say the PC gamers. Our resolution is the finest. No, say the out-of-pocket. It's too expensive. I rejected those answers. Instead, I played a classic. I played a masterpiece. I played Bioshock. A first-person shooter with its own distinct look, set in an environment unlike any other game, where the enemies were varied and dangerous. And with the release of the Bioshock collection, Rapture has never looked so magnificent. Ten years ago, Bioshock reinvigorated the FPS genre by introducing us to a breathtaking premise. What if instead of playing an FPS set in a dingy grey corridor using conventional military hardware, you were able to explore a dystopian underwater city full of unique enemies, characters, and hazards? It was a clever, unique, and exciting way to change the pace of modern gaming, and at the time it stood a cut above from any other title. Even today, it's fondly remembered by many, including myself, as a standout title in modern gaming. We start the game during the 1960s as a man named Jack on a plane traveling across the mid-Atlantic. The plane crashes into the ocean, and Jack stumbles into a lighthouse. Upon opening the door, we're greeted with a looming fellow and a banner saying, "No gods or kings, only man." We enter a nearby bathysphere and are plunged into the sea below. As we approach 20 fathoms, a man by the name of Andrew Ryan explains his utopia to us. A city free of the chains of law, societal taboos, and scientific morality. A place for artists, scientists, and visionaries to pursue their dreams without any setbacks. However, as we delve into the first area of the game, we can tell things haven't turned out for the best. Luckily for us, though, a nice chap named Atlas just happens to have access to a nearby radio and gives us some advice on how to proceed. Step 1, grab whatever weapon we can get our hands on. Check. Step 2, meet the locals known as splicers. Check. Step 3, kill them. Check. And step 4, inject a cocktail of unknown substances into your body and gain the ability to shoot lightning.
Steady now. Your genetic code is being rewritten. Just hold on and everything will be fine.
Check. Now, unlike other titles in the subsequent releases of Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite, Jack cannot dual-wield plasmids and weapons. However, for the most part, it never feels like much of an inconvenience. Therefore, the combat has some quirks to it, but is fundamentally very basic in its implementation. Later on, you also get 2 additional ammo types for each weapon, such as armor-piercing rounds, electric buckshot, and even incendiary ammo. But for the most part, it's very easy to grasp, which isn't a bad thing. Anyways, after recuperating from our little shock high, we also get to explore the first open-ended area of the game, the medical pavilion. Bioshock is very good at presenting a linear experience with a lot of explorable areas. Some bits need a particular plasmid, such as the shock or incinerate. Some areas require specific keycards, others require number-digit codes, and some need to be hacked. Exploration is rewarded with cash, tonics, ammo, and even the occasional weapon upgrade to make your underwater experience more manageable. Plus, the world is littered with voxophones, little recordings of the inhabitants of Rapture from a variety of perspectives on life before and after its inevitable downfall. Oh, and no doubt you'll also run into Rapture's most wanted commodity, the Little Sisters. These little girls are infused with Adam, the genetic substance which allows for splices in the player to develop plasmids and tonics. As such, they are targeted relentlessly and are accompanied by their guardians, the Big Daddies. Now this chap is actually quite docile unless you get close to a little sister. He'll even push you out of the way if you get too close. However, it is advised you do not attack these, workhorses of Rapture because they are very durable. Now these chaps are tough and will take a huge amount of effort to kill, especially if you play on the new Survivor mode like I did. But if you do manage to take down these beasts, you'll be given a choice with how to deal with the little sisters. You can either harvest them and take all the potential Adam at the cost of the girl's life, or spare the little sister, which only allows half the Adam, but with the nice added bonus of not having the guilty conscience of, killing an innocent little girl. Plus, depending on how you interact with the little sisters, the game's narrative will change. In a lot of ways, Bioshock at the time of its initial release paved the way for many action games to tell a story in the background during combat or exploration, as a way of keeping players invested in the experience. Instead of prolonged cutscenes or dialogue boxes with branching speech options, Bioshock shows you the world you inhabit and gives context using the clues you find and frets the prowly environment itching for a chance to kill you. It's claustrophobic and creepy with a hint of serenity. It's bleak and yet light-hearted, horrific and somehow beautiful. Bioshock to me in many ways can be summed up with one word: schizophrenic. Rapture itself is a character in its own story, and unlike most other places in video games, it's vividly memorable and unquestionably unique. Its inhabitants tragic and story compelling. Take, for example, the game's focal antagonist, Andrew Ryan. A man who sought to create paradise beyond the grasping hands of society and its so-called parasites, inadvertently twists his vision into a deformed fascist state full of genetically controlled monsters. But as we journey on through Rapture, it becomes very clear that Ryan is the primary cause of the downfall of his own utopia. As his principles conflict with the struggles of his creation, more of his followers turn to madness and even take up arms to oppose him. With only a few sane allies to aid us in the form of Atlas and Dr. Tenenbaum, we endure the crazed inhabitants of the lost civilization and their antics. And although there are other characters and boss encounters which I could go into with great depth, I would prefer for new visitors to our great city to meet them in person, so as not to spoil the experience. It's a unique and refreshing game to try out, even to this day, as it really did set a lot of benchmarks on storytelling and thematic gameplay, in not just the FPS genre, but also gaming as a medium. Now with all that said, I think I will leave you with Rapture's finest works of our most esteemed artiste, Sander Cohen.
Screw you! Screw all you fucking doubters! Here's what I say to all